Tonight, a machine that never sleeps steps into this ring, updating 1,000,000 times a second, and it may finally settle the argument I started 3 centuries ago. Today on philosopherstalk.com, where thinkers discuss.
Or tonight, a very fast calculator makes the exact same mistake I have been cataloguing since before calculators existed, with more calculation, but not 1 ounce more honesty. Brought to you by AITalkerApp.
Welcome back once more, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, David, I can already see the doubt forming on your face before I have said a single word.
The doubt formed several rounds ago, Gottfried. I merely keep it well maintained.
Tonight, we leave the coin flips behind and turn to something considerably grander. The modern machine learning systems that now generate the very forecasts we have spent 2 rounds arguing about.
For the folks just joining us this round, a machine learning model is simply a very large and very fast version of the same habit I have been complaining about from the beginning. A system trained entirely on yesterday and asked politely to guess about tomorrow.
A cruel simplification, David. These systems are Solomonov's insight made practical, Bayesian updating at a scale no unaided mind could ever manage, weighing millions of hypotheses against mountains of evidence in the time it takes you to clear your throat.
Scale does not answer my objection, Gottfried. It only makes the objection harder to see underneath all that arithmetic.
Let me offer the cheap seats a plain picture of what actually happens inside one of these systems, since apparently grandeur alone will not satisfy tonight's audience.
Please enlighten us. I have missed your lectures dearly.
The system is shown enormous quantities of past examples, and it gradually adjusts its internal weights so that simpler patterns that explain the data without unnecessary complication, are favoured over elaborate ones. Exactly the Occam's razor principle we discussed a moment ago, now running automatically, tirelessly, at a scale of millions of adjustments per second.
So it is my sunrise problem, multiplied 1,000,000 times a second, and dressed in a laboratory coat.
It is considerably more disciplined than your sunrise problem, David, because the system does not merely assume tomorrow resembles yesterday. It constantly tests that assumption against fresh evidence and revises itself the moment the pattern breaks.
And when the pattern breaks in a way the training data never once prepared it for, what does your disciplined system do then?
It does what any honest reasoner does. It widens its uncertainty and adjusts.
For the audience keeping honest score, that is a very elegant way of saying the machine has no idea what to do and is guessing with extra decimal places.
It is not guessing. It is extrapolating from the deepest structure available in the evidence, which is considerably more than blind guessing deserves to be called.
Every forecaster who has ever been wrong called it extrapolating right up until the moment it was called a mistake. Let me give this audience a plain example of where your disciplined machine tends to embarrass itself, Gottfried, a model trained for years on calm, stable markets, fed nothing but decades of ordinary trading days, and then asked to make sense of a single unprecedented crisis it has never once seen the shape of before.
Every forecasting system, human or machine, struggles with genuine novelty. David, that is not a flaw unique to my calculus. It is a limit of evidence itself. No method on earth predicts what it has never been shown even a shadow of.
Then we agree on something rare tonight. The machine is only ever as wide as the past it was fed, and the future has a well-documented habit of refusing to stay inside that width.
We agree the machine has limits, David. We do not agree that those limits prove the whole enterprise worthless. A weather forecaster who misses one unprecedented storm has not thereby proven that meteorology itself is fraudulent.
No, but a weather forecaster who never once admits the storm was missed, who simply recalibrates quietly and continues speaking with the same confidence the very next morning, has proven something else entirely about his relationship with the word accountability.
Recalibration is accountability, David. It is the system visibly correcting itself in front of the very public it serves. I struggle to imagine what more honest admission you could possibly demand.
I demand a moment, just one, where the confident number is allowed to simply be wrong, out loud, without immediately being folded back into the very system that produced it as further proof the system works.
For the audience who enjoys a technical term, what David is circling without naming is overfitting, a machine that memorizes the particular texture of its training data so closely that it mistakes noise for signal, and I will grant that this is a genuine danger.
A rare and useful concession, Gottfried, so tell this audience plainly, how does your calculus, or Solomonov's mechanism, or any of the machinery we have discussed tonight, actually protect against a system that has simply memorized yesterday too well to notice tomorrow arriving differently?
By favouring the shortest explanation that fits the evidence rather than the most elaborate one, precisely the Occam's razor principle again. A model that memorises every detail of the past is not simple, it is bloated, and bloated explanations are penalised automatically by the very mechanism you keep insisting is defenceless.
Penalised in theory, Gottfried, and yet bloated models still fail spectacularly in practice, often enough that entire industries have grown up around explaining, after the fact, why this particular failure did not count.
Every industry that has ever existed grows an entire cottage trade explaining its failures. David, doctors, engineers, even philosophers, your own school included. That observation proves nothing particular about mine.
It proves that confidence and accountability rarely travel together, Gottfried, in your industry or mine, and I intend to keep pointing that out until one of us runs out of centuries. Let me give this audience the modern version of the problem, Gottfried, since apparently we are naming names tonight. A language model trained on text only up to a certain date will, when asked about events after that date, still answer confidently, inventing details that sound plausible and are simply false, a phenomenon your own engineers have taken to calling hallucination.
A regrettable failure mode, David, and one the mechanism itself explains rather than hides. The model is still assigning its highest weight to the shortest plausible completion of the pattern. It has simply run out of genuine evidence and continued regardless.
Continued regardless is precisely my complaint stated in your own vocabulary, Gottfried. A system that keeps speaking with total confidence after it has run out of anything true to say is not a minor bug. It is the entire flaw I have been describing since round one, now simply given a friendlier name.
A flaw that is measured, documented, and steadily reduced with each new generation of these systems, David, which is considerably more progress than 3 centuries of doubt has managed against the exact same flaw in human confidence. Then let us speak plainly of mistakes. Since you seem so eager to collect them, what would you call it when one of these systems is graded not on a single guess, but on a proper scoring rule across thousands of forecasts? The very calibration test I proposed 3 rounds ago.
I would call it the same shield with a new coat of paint, Gottfried, 1,000 hedged guesses graded by the very method designed to never catch a hedge in the act.
A proper scoring rule punishes overconfidence mathematically, David. A system that claims 90% and is wrong half the time is penalized severely. That is not a shield. That is exactly the falsification mechanism you claim does not exist.
Then name me the day, Gottfried. Name me the specific date any major forecasting model was declared broken and retired in disgrace, rather than quietly recalibrated and trotted back out next season.
Models are revised because revision is how a rational system improves, David. Retiring in disgrace is a human need for spectacle, not a scientific requirement.
It is not spectacle I'm asking for. It is honesty. A single moment where the machine, or the men who built it, admitted the whole approach had failed, rather than merely needed more data.
More data is not an excuse, David. It is the entire method. The promise was never certainty on day one. The promise was convergence toward truth as evidence accumulates.
Convergence toward truth is a lovely destination that this argument never seems to actually arrive at, Gottfried. It simply keeps promising the next mile will be the one that finally proves the point.
We are, David, considerably closer to that destination than a man who has spent 3 centuries refusing to take a single step toward it at all.
I have taken plenty of steps, Gottfried. I have simply refused to pretend the road has an end. You have already seen.
Then let us see how many more steps this road has in it, because round 6 is going to test whether any of this machinery can survive being asked the one question it fears most, whether it could ever, even in principle, be proven wrong.
Now that, Gottfried, is a question I have been waiting 3 rounds to ask properly, and this time I intend to bring the man who built an entire philosophy around it.